already and scan the QR code. That just helps with all the things behind the scenes. We really appreciate it. And Steph and I worked really hard on making the slideshow new. I was pretty tired of seeing it looking the same way. Uh-oh. And somebody else. Eagle Market Street, there we go. So all of that is like just been approved, so that's a lot of exciting hope for our region. I'm Erica Como. I am the lead organizer of 1 Million Cups. We are really grateful to have the most amazing organizer team. Britt Powell, Tyler Powell, they do all of our marketing through Britt Creative. Bill McKinnon, Pramela, Stephanie Tomatas, Siobhan Robinson, Sean Como, Brian Hickey, and Ray and Paula. And they're so cute right over there. And Ray made all the cookies this morning, so let's... I don't know why it's so pitchy. It's kind of pitchy. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here's the format. We're going to do the presentation. Drew's going to come up here. I got to tell you, I'm super, super impressed. I knew he was like a guy that knew a lot about climate and all of that sort of stuff, but having had a chance to go through the presentation together, now I don't even know if I can talk to him anymore. I'm like, you're such a genius. Oh, no. So he's going to do the presentation. You're going to have questions during it. You're going to hold them till the end. You're going to want to raise your hand, and you can start. But at the end, we're going to go through. We've got microphones. You're going to say your name. That's how we build community, and we will pass them around for questions. As always, park behind the building. We have free parking, and if you can, bring your own mug. That's always great. Without further ado, Drew Jones, can you please take the stage?
How is this audio? Oh, look at that pop. Hear that? Thank you. All right, everybody. My name is Drew Jones, and I run this climate tech company called Climate Interactive. We're 14 people around the world. We've grown out of Asheville. The 3 directors live here in Asheville. And I'm going to try to lay out a little bit what we're up to, and then stop, and then have you think with me, because we've gotten as far as we've gotten. And then what's next? I'd really like to talk to you about that. My journey, goes back decades as I started asking this question: how do we make transformative experiences, mind-blowing experiences that have people understand that we want to protect the future of the world, natural systems and climate, and how to do it really well, and then take that experience and scale it globally, because this is a global challenge. It hit me when I was in college. At that time, there was this barge full of trash going up and down the East Coast. Anyone remember this story? What was it, the trash bar? It was.
Yeah, they wound up in Mississippi.
It went all the way around to Mississippi, and it was good, like, it would go up New York and Boston. Even New Jersey wouldn't take this barge. It was that bad. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so anytime there's a New Jersey joke, I have to get it in there. But it went all the way to Mississippi. And so how do we address the fact that we use so much stuff and it piles up in the landfills and everything? And in college, recycling back then was kind of like a big deal. Ooh, we recycle. Wow. If you really want to work, if you're worried about building up of trash, are you worried about, like, what do you focus on, if not recycling? Use less. Use less. So I'm that long-haired hippie kid at Dartmouth walking around, judging people, telling them to use less. I was that guy. You'd be like, oh, Sherry, disposable. Really? Really? You know, this dynamic, this judge, shame. How well does that work? So I was sick of it. I was sick of the judge and shame thing. I worked at first couple of years. I tried, didn't work. Thank you. So I had this idea. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to carry around all of my trash. I'll let this get resolved first, because this is a great line that's coming up. Right?
These are genius.
There, that's good. Yeah. So I had this idea. I said, let's carry around our... Maybe I just won't use it. Touch this thing. Yeah. You ready? So I had this idea. Let's carry around our trash in clear plastic bags for a week. Every little paper cup, every plastic fork, every pizza box, every beer can, every beer bottle, all that junk mail, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, to the gym, to the party, to the frat house, dance party in the basement, everywhere on campus. And I'm going to talk everybody into doing it. So we had 150 kids on campus, deans, the dean of the school did it, my professor, Dana Meadows, who became my mentor, did it and wrote an article about it. We carried these trash cans everywhere. And because I love the media, I called the New York Times and said, this is awesome, come up and take pictures. And so they took pictures of this event. And imagine, the rule was you couldn't change your behavior. You had to do what you always did. So every day, Sherry's going to use her little cup, put 1 week, 7 cups, and in there, and you were not supposed to change behavior, but it became impossible. With a trash bag on your back, you were a trash avoiding machine, not because you're a good person or because some hippie kid told you to. It was just built into the system to behave that way. And so we started to innovate. My friends and I had a newspaper come into our dorm room. We said, no, we canceled it. We can go read it at the library. We canceled junk mail. We carried around a mug. We carried around silverware in our pocket. We drank beer by the keg.
Red Solo cups?
All of that. No red Solo cups. No, out of the coffee mugs. Red Solo cups. Putting all those cups in your bag. So it was this experience where just, without having to think about it, it built in this incentive to really value the distant and delayed effects of your actions. And that's the core problem with sustainability, right? Is that I drove over here and the emissions from my car are affecting the weather in India right now. We are that interconnected in the world, but how do we behave ethically in that kind of setup? How do we create experiences that make visceral and powerful the delayed, distant implications of our actions in ways that create possibility? So I was like, this is great. I love this. I'm going to do something about this. And I had a mentor, Dana Meadows, who later won a MacArthur Genius Award. She came to me and said, you got to study this field, system dynamics modeling at MIT, because they create simulations. And what you built was a simulation that changed people's fundamental thinking. And I was like, just like, this is what I want to do, but not for trash in New Hampshire. But let's take this thing on. Humanity is headed the wrong direction when it comes to global sustainability. What can we do about that? The trash thing, it's funny, through the years has kind of grown. We had this article. This guy, I saw this picture. This guy's in Asheville, or sometimes in Asheville. Who is this guy? Rob? Rob Greenfield. So Rob sends me this picture like, hey man, I heard about what you did back then. Oh, I did it for 30 days. So I did it for a week, he did it for 30 days. And there have just been hundreds of groups that'll send me a picture every few years. This is in Australia. Some school district did it there. Just simulations to create powerful experiences for people. Flash forward. Brett McCall organized TEDx 2009, where I got to launch, many years later, the first simulation to take on climate change. In the interim, I had worked at Rocky Mountain Institute out in Colorado for a while. I went back and got my master's at MIT to learn how to build system dynamics simulation models of complex systems. Took that model, realized that the global negotiations on climate needed really fast-running simulations. If you can believe it, in Kyoto, which was the first big negotiation in '97, and then heading towards Copenhagen in 2009, they had a negotiation with China in the EU and in China, and they all sit down and they make pledges to the United Nations, but they couldn't add up all the pledges to see would it solve the problem. Like, they just had no idea. So they'd be negotiating, but they had really no sense of success. The models took 3 weeks or months to run. But our approach, I realized, could run like that. And I was like, okay, this is a simulation that I'm going to build to help those negotiations. And I got to, because Brett McCall organized TEDx 2009, right before. And then quickly we found that people wanted to use this simulation. And what it's evolved into now is this. And we'll get into it a little bit more in a minute, but the basic premise of it is a model of where things are going on climate. This is the temperature out in 2100. This is a graph of all the pollution from 2000 to 2100. We call it greenhouse gas emissions. Here's where the energy is coming from. And down at the bottom, you can click buttons and see, what if we had, I don't know, what are global solutions to climate? What could we do about this problem?
Renewable energy.
Renewable energy. Renewable energy. Right now, we can see we have a good bit of renewable energy, and so you can click under here, and that's renewable energy, yeah. So it's expected to grow so much into the future. What's really fantastic about what we see, because of what country, basically, are we seeing so much growth? China is just quadrupled down on production of solar panels. The amount of solar that you see today, based on the last 26 years, you see where this line is? Here it's at 45. It's grown from here to here. You see that? Look at what is coming down the road. That kind of scale is expected, mostly because of China's industrial policy to export clean energy and solar. So we're expecting so much. And one reason that the temperature over on the right is not going up to where we thought it was 20 years ago, like 4 degrees C or 5 degrees C, it's coming down only to 3, is because of this expected growth. So yes, we need it. What if we had some more? What if we had some more? Is it a silver bullet? Is it gonna save the day? What we do and what we did, you can imagine this moment. So this is the moment where you create that anticipation, right? What's gonna happen? That is exactly what happened with 30 members of Congress, where they said, we want to solve this problem. What about renewable energy? So these are members, all members of Congress. They're aides around the wall in DC. Up there is the model at the end. My partners at MIT as well. And then hands-on, so Jay Inslee is the governor of Washington. He was a presidential candidate around climate. Even conservatives. John Curtis is a Republican out of Utah. Senator John Curtis over on the right. This is at the Aspen Institute, hands-on with it. John Kerry, who is the ambassador for climate under Obama and then Biden, they're playing with the model. Senator Mary Landrieu from Louisiana. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Yay! And he was here in town and asked to play with the model, and right before his show at Thomas Wolfe. Fund us. We'll talk about the business model of this, mostly philanthropy. but we sell some analysis. Okay, you asked about renewables. What if we had more? Would it save the day? Here it comes. What does it do? And think in your head, temperature goes down to what? Right now it's headed at 3.3. If we had more of this renewable energy, 3.3 goes where? Anyone have a case to be made? 3.3 goes to what instead? The goal is to get temperature below what? Celsius? Anyone? In 2 degrees. We're trying to get that number all the way below 2. What do you think the temperature would go to? 3.2. What? Who said that? Sherry, you're a ringer. Sherry's the one who told me to give this talk 2 months ago. Thank you, Sherry. 3.2. So we get a lot more renewables. However, supply of renewable energy isn't as much of the problem as shifting demand towards electrification, towards electricity. So what it really needs as well is electrification. So if you want it to go down a little bit more, you need to electrify as well in transport and in buildings. And we also need more storage. And so if we go down here and we boost a little bit more of the storage, that's going to help a little bit more. It's not a silver bullet. It isn't the one big thing. And so a lot of what those Congress people had to learn and what led them to the bill that they eventually passed, the Inflation Reduction Act, back in 2024, we met with 128 members of Congress individually or in those groups before they passed a kind of whole of government broad approach. Because, as you'll see in a minute, it takes many actions. Renewables, storage, and electrification is one of them. So we create this experience, and not just on the intellectual game of temperature, but more broadly, so what does it do to places? What are you concerned about when it comes to the impact of climate change? What matters impact-wise? What is the effect that leads you to think we ought to do something about this challenge?
Hurricanes in Western North Carolina. Just off the top of my head.
Oh, hurricanes.
Making up something.
Yeah.
Just a word.
I got to add that because, let me see. Yeah, how many people in the world, so we found a study, by the way, if you're want to nerd out about it, here are all the studies that connect population to the frequency of hurricanes and typhoons and cyclones. And as you know, in 2024, we were, 1 million in this area of the 161 million people in 2024 exposed to hurricanes and cyclones and typhoons. And if we had more renewable energy, it would bend the curve that much. Not much yet. How much more could we do? And a lot of the studies here, of course, depend on these huge models that take months to run. So we connected one of them here that allows you to go and say, hey, what's temperature in any spot in the world there in the Midwest. So try to have people see what the implications are. Now go back to the trash. What are we doing? We're creating experiences that help people viscerally feel the delayed and distant implications of their actions in ways that create possibility. This was basically me saying, can we carry our trash, but with really powerful people we can engage? But the second part of it, I said, and then bring that to scale. We didn't want just me and my team going around to places with this model. We said, a lot of people need this experience. Please, MIT, give us some money. Hey, Wellcome Trust in the UK, this Danish foundation, Russell Family Global Methane Hub, all these folks gave us money to make a training course that you can go take for free, to put it into 21 languages. So up here, you go to this, and we figured out a way to make this available for free actually, tomorrow it's going to be in Bangla, for Bangladesh, 6th most spoken language on earth. Who knew it? But there are a lot of people in Bangladesh. as the 22nd language. So you can find it in any language. And then give it away to people. We made a training course during the pandemic. I shot 63 short videos, teach you to do what I'm doing right now with the facilitation side and a lot of nerdy stuff about what's in the model. And then this guy, Wakas, in Pakistan, learns how to do it, and he goes around Pakistan and gives presentations. And then we get these pictures, like this is some boardroom. It looks authentic because I think it's all old men, like around this table, running, I think, an energy company in Pakistan. But it's a moment like that, just like we create something, put it out there, make it supported enough, try to create a community around it enough, but then wait and see what happens. Teachers use it a good bit here in Indonesia. You can see a teacher, and behind them is a scenario, and all of her students there. Another presentation in Indonesia. In Brazil, this is Eduardo Fracassi, a professor there. And in India, I'm going there in April to meet some of these folks who are trying to move from education use to up to policy. New Delhi Institute of Management here in China. Got to use it at the World Economic Forum last year in the summer Davos, working with Tsinghua University. There's a bunch of pictures, but basically, here are the people who have self-reported, hey, I ran an event, 14,000 events, almost 500,000 participants in 181 countries. 914 people have been trained to use this to spread it around the world. Again, can we create powerful experiences that have people viscerally feel the long-term delayed implications of their actions in ways that lead to possibility, and then scale it so that many other people can take action based on this? Start tracking the number of policies that have been changed, that we can connect the dots. Some corporate investment policies, increasingly climate risk analysis by financial services companies, some of philanthropic giving policies, and many in higher education. So that's the minimum I think I could say to bring me to my question to you. The question to you is, think with me about what ought to be next. And when our team comes together and thinks about this, we think about these three areas. Building capacity in middle-income countries. Our emissions in Europe and in the US are falling. This is the pollution that causes the problem. Falling about 0.5% a year. In India, China, Indonesia, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, South Africa, emissions are growing up 4% a year. That's where the future pollution is coming from. Can we get these cutting-edge tools there without being colonial jerks about it, basically? Like, can we help with technology? So that's why I'm going to India, and that's why we give it away there to those countries. Inform investments for a thriving future. More and more, we want to internalize the cost of climate into the way financial services companies think. They're trying to assess climate risk. Can we help there? And the last one, chart pathways for equitable energy transition. Equitable energy transition is a euphemism for talking about the biggest cause of climate change, which is oil and gas. There's a lot we try to talk around this problem, but the core of it is we burn coal, oil, and gas. That is warming the earth. And it's particularly awkward in this country where saying that, even that sentence, there are times when it gets hinted that we would be called terrorists for questioning the energy abundance framework that the US government has adopted. Partly because, well, oil and gas, like, what country is the biggest producer of oil in the world when you think of producers out there? Middle East? Yeah, Middle East, right? Venezuela? Russia? Sarah knows. Yes! The United States of America is the largest producer of oil on Earth. Hands down, okay? But gas, what country produces the most gas, natural gas? Canada? Russia? The US, the fracking revolution, and even Obama and Biden supported it. So this is the big challenge. So how do we help in that area? So, without getting put in jail, frankly. Okay, where can we go? I'm curious about any thoughts. You can see, in one sense, we're a software company. I have the software. Let's get it out in the world. You can show people how to use the software. We're targeting some areas, financial services, maybe oil and gas. We can also go back and play with that model because there's a lot that you could learn there. And Rachel was first with her hand.
Okay, so I haven't fully processed my question, but here it is. You mentioned how can we encourage behavior we want without being colonial jerks.
That's a technical term,
yeah. And one of the things I'm always thinking about is human well-being, right? So if we're thinking about global well-being, we have two approaches, which is pathogenic and salutogenic, right? So pathogenic is like, what's wrong? How do we fix it?
Yeah.
Salutogenic is like, what's flourishing? How do we get there?
Nice.
Well, if you always focus on mitigating problems, it actually never gets you to flourish.
Oh my gosh, well said.
So what I was thinking about is some of the leaders in the world for this, for sustainability, are countries that we don't even know about, like Guyana, Suriname, Gabon. These countries are actually leading in carbon negative.
Yeah.
They're protecting our forests and the lungs of the world. So what about raising the profile of these countries that are contributing to our well-being through their policies?
Yes.
So that you have both. You're mitigating and you're promoting flourishing.
This is so important, Rachel. Thank you. This framing, I think I heard her say it as pathogenic, what's the problem? Can we solve the problem? Did you say salutogenic?
Yes.
Salutogenic, which is a little more built on what's our vision of the world that we want? What is working? Can we breathe life into what is working? I didn't mention it, but that's really one of the purposes of this simulator was to try to make that shift. And here was at least how far we've gotten in it and what our thinking was. And let's just try it. And it's so true with climate change. It's been entirely framed as a pathogenic, there's a problem, solve it, problem, this is bad, it's bad, it's bad. We spend 98% of the time talking about how bad it's going to be. We don't talk about our vision for a sustainable world. So here's a little exercise. I didn't think we had time for it, but you prompted it. In 3 minutes, let's create our vision of the world that we really want to see. And let's do that. The first step, you mentioned Gabon and Suriname and these countries that are focusing on protecting their forests. Okay, I'll take that as the first thing. Okay, number one, let's do that. Let's protect forests. What if we cut deforestation? And so I'm going to go up here to deforestation, and there's deforestation. It's already expected to fall some. What if they succeed? This is a lot about Indonesia and Brazil. Even more. Ooh, cool. That's better. Temperature goes down. What about nature-based carbon removal, like reforestation? Oh, that's good too. What else? Well, it started with where Brett started with renewables. We wanted that. I told you we needed what else?
Agricultural emissions.
Agricultural emissions of methane in particular. So much that can be done with cattle and better management there. 2.8. Okay. And not just look at emissions. Let's go look at what you asked about before, which was, can we bend the curve on people having to deal with Hellenes around the world? Because we don't want people to deal with that. Let's bend the curve here. Okay, what else?
Electric travel.
More electric travel. And I'm going to bring up transportation. Right now, see that yellow curve? That is the growth of electric travel by percentage. And see how it's killing oil travel and coming down? What if we had more of it? I'm going to boost it and the charging stations. It grows a little earlier. That helps a little more. We also need it. Well, what else? Buildings, heat pumps, etc. That's going to help a little bit more. over here, I'm going to get back to that primary energy. So we can see right now, see that green wedge? That's wind and solar. Down here in red is the shrinking oil, shrinking coal. What else do we do? Geothermal would be a new zero carbon energy source. What if that came up, got it really invented at scale next week? It takes a while to commercialize. You see that orange area growing? Yeah, so that would be, it's a longer term play, geothermal, but okay, another point one. We're doing better. What else?
Get rid of oil.
Get rid of oil. We can cut subsidies. It shrinks. But under here, and I just talked to the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative, executive director, this guy Alex, said, to quote Sherry, hey, let's get rid of oil. Reduce new oil infrastructure and cuts it a little bit more. What else? Got to get rid of coal. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to look in the bottom right. We're already cutting it. It's already, see the blue line is lower. We're cutting it some because of electrification, because of renewables. But what if we just don't even build anymore? In the world of all the things of like less oil, like you said, Sherry, people are not talking about that right now. They are talking about this, which is let's reduce new oil infrastructure. Why are they talking about it so much? What's the worst thing about coal when it comes to suffering on Earth? Smog. Absolutely, Brett. So go under here, and one of these important impacts, 1 in 10 deaths on Earth is air pollution from energy, PM 2.5 emissions. Look how much better it gets when we don't burn coal. If you've seen pictures of Delhi, if you've seen pictures of Beijing, you know what I'm talking about. Grew up in Cleveland, I know what this looks like, smog. This is so much better, and it saves so much money in health. It could be so much better and so much better soon. Now we're at 2.5 degrees. Okay, what else do we need to do? Okay, what a challenging one. Sarah Andrews. Okay, this we think of as kind of an assumption. There is some evidence that empowering women and girls can lower birth rates. The history of people from our country going to other countries and saying, hey, we'd like to help you reduce your population growth is really wrapped up. What was the term I was using about colonial jerk? There's been a lot of colonial jerkism associated with population control plans. And one thing that's interesting, Sarah, is that if it's at the low end or the high end, I'll show you what the emissions are, it turns out it's not a major driver anymore it's not a major driver of overall emissions. If it's at the low end of the World Bank, it would head at 9 billion. We're at 8 right now. See, there's a low end in the bottom right. There's the high end, 11.4. So, and look at the top right, it's not bending the emissions curve that much. The bigger growth consideration is what? It's got to be like consumption and economic growth. It's really being driven by consumption and what we use or not. How much middle classification of consumption there's going to be in the future. That's going to be a bigger issue. What else? What are we doing? We're trying to create a vision, back to your salutogenic view. We're at 2.5. We've tried some things. What else? What is our vision of what we'll be doing? Rachel?
I think that we also have to think about things beyond just these obvious contributors, because there's so much interplay from across the spectrum of human behavior. You know, like, I think one of the reasons that we have such a problem and that we have such a hard time motivating people to care about climate change is because we live in a culture that ransacks their bodies and they don't even care about their own body. And so it's hard to care about something down the road, but they're walking around in an unstable system themselves. So, like, I think about, you know, the interplay between economics and how, like, the Syrian civil war was basically climate-based.
There was some drought behind it, yeah.
And so, like, how do we think beyond just contributing factors to the social and emotional factors that play in? Because that stuff is also logistic.
Yeah. So with at least the theory of how we're using this kind of experience is first to make some distinctions between what's really high leverage and what's less important or lower leverage. And then once we get there, talk about some of the personal or socio-emotional factors that would lead us to be able to act on the policies that really work. But you see, I'm really working at that level of trying to make a distinction of what are the things that also need to happen that we haven't done here yet. And then to say, who do we need to be to make these things happen? How do we need to create a society and think of ourselves and our meaning and purpose in order to make renewables and cutting oil and geothermal and electrification and the other 6 things that you need to name in order to get us to where we really want to go in this vision. That's how we tend to use it. So what else? What else is there? Yes, Tracy.
I also think it's interesting how interconnected these things are.
Oh,
when,
yeah.
When you're talking about reducing hurricanes and typhoons and things, when we had the hurricane here, our city actually touted the fact that they'd handed out 1 million water bottles. And I just remember
Oh my God, all that
1
oil.
million water bottles are now
Absolutely.
just like there that are never going to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. Interrelationships, how do we become systems thinkers as we do this? So, to get below 2, what else is there? What's that?
Carbon price.
So, this is the side, oh yeah, you can go next. Carbon pricing, make the pollution more expensive. Economists agree this is a powerful way to do it. We're already cutting oil and gas, oil and coal, but when we increase this, it helps a lot. Yes?
So I think what would be really fascinating is to see the inverse of this, is that this is showing this macro policy and kind of larger, more powerful entities what they can do.
Yeah.
But seeing that individual scale and the roll-ups would be really fascinating to get a real experience. And I think you could also extend that to countries and then to locales. If you just had this kind of consistent roll-up map,
Wow.
not changing the features and factors, but saying, here's where your contributions are.
Yeah.
I think that would be a very powerful message.
This is one of the directions we're thinking of going. Thank you. Can we take this global experience and then disaggregate it by country and, as you say, roll it down to people? And what it would show is really, I'm going to just fill it out. We also need energy efficiency. We have to design efficient transportation systems and buildings and industry as well. There's also so much methane and waste in the energy system and leakage, and we need more carbon removal. Put all that together, and then what we get is a world where temperature is quite different, and I'll show those impacts, and we can bend the curve. It's not a perfect world, but when it comes to people exposed to hurricanes and typhoons, for example, here is that kind of future. And later, when our next generation is around our age, what have we saved here? That's 40 million people who didn't have to go through a Helene type experience because we mitigated and avoided a lot of that damage. So what we're doing is trying to create, the salutogenic contribution would be, can we imagine a future that cuts coal, oil, and gas, invest in electrification, renewable energy, new forms like geothermal, improves agricultural emissions, cuts deforestation, has carbon removal, and really bends that curve. That's what we want people talking about. What could we do? And then whom do we need to be in order to make this kind of change in our society happen? Yes?
So, Andrew, thank you. One thing I'm thinking about as I see you manipulate the model is certain things that are very interconnected.
Yeah.
And if you lift this way, way up, it seems like there's 2 real big drivers. One is, can you reduce the amount of energy we need? And another is, for the energy we use, can you make it cleaner and have lower impact? In some cases, you were taking certain sources of energy out of the model, and then that brought the whole energy use down.
Yeah.
But we weren't getting people to bring their energy use down at the same time. Right, so it seems like they need to stay in balance with each other. I'm curious if you can comment on that.
Yeah. So those are two of the biggest interventions. Energy demand, how much energy do we use overall? And then secondly, the carbon intensity or the pollution intensity of it. Both of those things need to change. And then the third is back to where Sarah was going with drivers of growth. Like, how many people, how much stuff do we use? So those three factors, growth and activity, and then as you said, energy efficiency or the energy use. And then third, what is the carbon intensity of that energy use? Yes, Paul.
Oh, I don't have a microphone. So I guess one of my questions, especially because a lot of what you created when you started was before the rise of things like artificial intelligence and things like that, AI, and we're seeing such an impact of AI now, where there's like the extra water usage, the extra heat, the extra issues that people are having with it. Are these new things that are cropping up that you guys are now having to deal with?
Yeah.
And how will these
AI,
also
oh my gosh.
affect everything?
So two big things. We the Hewlett Foundation out in California came to us and said, could you add the energy use of artificial intelligence to that model to say how much does it push things up? Is it 5%? Is it 50%? Like, how big a deal is it really? So right now, our modelers are adding it, and there are all these interesting factors of the growth, and then it gets more efficient, but also AI is boosting overall economic growth. And if there's more general economic growth, that also is boosting energy use. The second is the exciting part for us, which is more and more people are going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, what if in Suriname and Guyana we had less deforestation? And what if we had geothermal? And what if we had energy efficiency and cut oil? What would that do? And I'm like, we have an answer to that question. We are the only thing on earth that can answer that question like that. So we're kind of excited to be the source where they don't have to go to a website and move a lot of sliders, but just naturally, we're the source of that kind of decision support. Those are the two biggest things that we're focusing on. Erica, I saw your hand. Are we good on timing? Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question.
One more question.
Maybe two.
Maybe two. Great. Sherry. No, Mary, and then Sherry. Mary, Mary's standing, and you have the mic.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mary.
Thanks. I was thinking about what you were saying, making it, bringing it from that high-level policy down to the individual and that individual experience, and sort of the way that you made the trash a personal experience. And when you experience that, you get a better idea of, okay, this is my consumption, this is my contribution down the line. But thinking about that in terms of energy, so some time back, I did a calculation about like dryers and the energy consumption in a dryer compared to what some rural African in a non-electrified village consumes. And I came up with like one dryer load was the equivalent to 6 months of energy that person used in the village. That's one dryer load. So if there was some way that we could kind of track what is our own consumption in going through the day.
Yeah, interesting. The equivalent for individual action, carbon footprint calculators, which have been out for a long time, can help with some of that math. And be wary that it does steer us towards the thought that the answer to this challenge is individual action, when all the research we've been finding is that it is not. It is collective action that is the highest leverage. That is what is missing and what is needed in order to get where we really need to go. We need democracy, and we need people pulling together to make things happen at a community level, state, but industry. It's going to be collective action. So beware of that pull towards, why is we have this problem? Oh, because I'm bad and I'm using too much. Instead, think of going arm in arm with others to get the power, to get the policy, to get the results. Last question. Sherry, my inviter, go ahead.
How are you getting the message out to gather all the communities at all different levels? What's your marketing?
Yeah. Our marketing is mostly word of mouth, because we need devoted consumers of our products. So what we're doing is we get people to go out there in India, China, Mexico, Brazil, and they train other people and engage other people. We now have 1.7 million users of the software, and we have 950 well-trained people. So we're mostly going word of mouth, Sherry, but we could be doing better. Overall, folks, collective action, overall creating experiences that help people see what are the implications of my actions in the long term in other places in the world, and how do you scale those experiences? It's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it. Thank you very much, everybody.
I like that we ended on 1.8 degrees. Like, did you do that?
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. All right, so I looked up when Earth Day was this year, and it is April 22nd. Maybe we can all carry around our trash that day.
Cool.
Let's see. Bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. There we go. Well, thank you all for coming this morning. Who's inspired? It feels like that it's like the big conundrum question of like, oh, we hear climate change, and you know, there's the moments where we do go to Starbucks and we don't bring our own cup, and that happens. I had a friend that would like reuse his Starbucks cup for like 2 weeks, and he was also the shamer. He was also and then there's the other part of it where it's like eco-neurosis, where you want to live and enjoy your life, you know, and finding that balance. Big shout out to all of our event sponsors, Charlie and Troy Ball, who generously donate the space each week, Hatch Co-working, Mountain BizWorks, the Pisca Fund, NC Idea, Patrick O'Kane with EOS Entrepreneurial Operating Systems, the Brookshire Garside Group with Bear Private Wealth Management, ERC Broadband, Brick Creative doing our social media, our newsletter each week, super grateful, Dynamite Coffee Roasting Company, Broadbeam Live Media. That's Brian in the back. Let's put our hands together for him. He's been working really hard to get us to be up to date, state of the art, and it is a complicated process, and we appreciate you bearing with any technical difficulties because he is revolutionizing it. You can watch this presentation on YouTube following this event. So if you have more questions or there were things that you were like, wait, I want to see that part again, get onto YouTube. I think it's Asheville 1 Million Cups. Just put that in the YouTube. Western Carolina University and SCORE. Coming up next week, we have Owendale Art with Ann Tisdale Owen. And the Digital Nomads are having an event here tonight called Curated Conversations. This is a Digital Nomad singles series. Yeah, so you can learn how to curate your conversation in preparation for Valentine's Day. They also are doing Tuesday night on at Halley Point. So if you feel like going skiing, 5:30, great way to get out there. And then we have the Classy Cocktails happening at the Crow and Quill. Please register for those events in advance. And then on the 12th, there is an art opening at Momentum Gallery, and it features Chihuly and some other really notable artist works. And we're going to be getting people together from 5 to 8. That's totally free. And Mountain BizWorks is offering some great entrepreneurial classes. Also, AB Tech reached out, and they have a series of free classes that are happening right now. So if you're thinking about starting a business, want to learn more about QuickBooks or accounting, or I saw one that was called Teach Your Craft, and I think it's a free one on Saturday. So check out AB Tech for some of the classes that they have. And one other thing I noticed this week is that Poppy is having a warehouse sale. So that's happening on Saturday. You can get on their Instagram and it's going to show you, but you can get all the deals on Poppy Popcorn this weekend. Yes, Jay.
Also, there's going to be a pitch party next Tuesday here. If anybody wants to learn more about it or register, it is on the actioninnovation.org. Pitch party here Tuesday night.
Yeah, and we've reformatted the way we're doing the slideshow these days. So if you have an event that you want to have listed on the calendar, send an email to asheville@1millioncups@gmail.com. It's listed on the website. And just in the subject line, put in calendar. Steph has taken over the slideshow. She's a crazy genius. We love Steph. Let's give her some props. So she's going to be updating all of that. And she even got the little skier on the calendar this week. It's so cute. All right, so this is what's upcoming. We're trying to get it so that you can see what's happening the month in advance. Closetorium, I'm super excited about that. That's an actual retail space that's a membership-based sort of consignment store. Cool. The Glitter Sisters, that's going to be happening on February 25th, and they do a lot of programs in schools and in colleges to empower women. If you'd like to sponsor it, if you love this event, feel free to scan the QR code or come talk to me afterwards. And if you want to present or know somebody who does, also scan this QR code. All the QR codes. Do we need more QR codes? Oh, do we?
No.
Oh.
I just want to make one.
Yeah.
So more talks like Drew's are coming up. TEDx Asheville is going to happen in March. There's also an event on the 27th of February called Pass the Mic, where you'll get to meet the presenters ahead of time. Go to TEDxAsheville.com and get more of Drew Jones-like things.
Let's go. Awesome. All right, thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week. Have a beautiful Wednesday.
Oh, okay. You can't get my name mugs.